Counselors here at West Middle School. I have last names A through K, and Mr. Powell is our other counselor, last names L through Z. We're going to show you a video that our students made at West about 2 years ago. They were going to redo it last year, but then we were shut down for COVID. So it's a little bit outdated. The information is the same. Both the middle schools are exactly the same. They're exactly the same size, the same layout. So even though it says West Middle School, just pretend it says East Middle School for those of you that are going there. The only thing that is out of date on it is that we changed the sixth grade electives a little bit. There is no high school credit world language for next year, so they'll mention that. High school world language now starts in 7th and 8th grade. But if you had older siblings, they're taking it this year as a 6th grader. Theirs was high school credit, but going forward, it'll just be 7th and 8th grade. All right, so let's start with the video, and then we'll do a quick PowerPoint. Mr. Powell will talk about what middle school counselors do, and then we'll have time for questions and answers at the end.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Bruce.
And this is Grand Blanc West Middle School.
This right here is a fan favorite. This is a pizza line right here. We usually have cheese, pepperoni, and then sausage and pepperoni. Then there's sides, apples, all that, applesauce. And then right here, it's drinks. We have water, extremely high. Right here you have another on and go, which a lot of people don't get, but it's a good little help. It's a good snack for you. And right here, just check out and that's it. Go wherever you want.
This is the snack line. You can figure out what you want by going here. They have ice cream, beverages, and other different kinds of stuff. Hi.
Hello, what would you like?
I would like a chip,
What type?
baked Lay's chips, please and thank you.
Is that it?
And a Switch, please and thank you.
Please enter your code. What color switch?
Red, please and thank you.
Alright, have a good day.
And remember to treat your lunch ladies with respect. This is Team 1. This is where all your core classes will be. This is Team 1.
This right here is Team 2 for the upcoming 6th graders.
This is the gymnasium. This is where you'll take your band gym elective. This right here is the band hallway. As you can hear, this is where the band.
Hello, 5th graders. I'm Mr. Finkbeiner. I teach 6th grade band here at West Middle School. I think I've met most of you before coming to your schools. So I teach all band instruments, and we hope to see you in the 6th grade band classes.
Welcome to Grand Blanc West Middle School Library. I'm hoping that I will be able to see all of you throughout the year. Come into the library, get a book, maybe do some homework, have a quiet place to work, take a test, whatever you need to do. So hopefully I will see you all soon and have a good school year.
Thank you.
Hola, estudiantes. Hey, West Middle School. If you haven't seen me, I am Senora Carson. Senora Weldon and Senora Casper also teach Spanish here at West. And if you are looking for an elective to take, you might want to take Spanish. We learn about food and school and just other fun vocab that you haven't heard yet in Spanish. You also get high school credit, which is super, super awesome in middle school for you to do that. We learn it through pictures, through activities in class, and playing fun games like the one that you're going to see in a minute. I hope I see you next year.
It's climb up. Double baby.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Lund, or Madame Lund. I am the French teacher here, and I teach a 6th grade exploratory French class where you get to learn all about different parts of France and French.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Jones, and I teach speech, drama, and art. For 6th grade, I teach the exploratory Black elective for art. And it's one marking period class. We have a lot of fun in that class. It's for 9 weeks, and we focus on the elements of line, shape, color, value, form, texture, and space. We use watercolor paint, we use tempera paint, colored pencils, pencil, pastels, all kinds of things. We have lots of fun exploring art. We learned lots of technique, and I hope to see you next year.
You have 4 core classes: math, science, social studies, and language arts. You have 2 electives, which could be band, gym, choir, exploratory block, and Spanish.
All right, and that's our video presentation. So East and West are identical. Classes are exactly the same, just the adults are different, which is kind of weird. So let me bring up our PowerPoint. We'll go through that real quick, and then I'll have Mr. Powell talk with you for a little bit.
So while Mr. Morey's pulling up the PowerPoint, I wanted to let our East students know who their counselors will be. Okay, so if you are, if your last name is either A through K, you will have Mr. Sokolowski. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but it's spelled Sokolowski. Okay, if your last name's L through C, you'll have Miss LaFleur. That's LAFLEUR. Okay, so after today, if you have any questions specific for East, you can reach out to them if you need to.
All right, is my PowerPoint up there, Mr. Powell?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So just like in 5th grade, you're still going to have all your core classes. At PIC, you guys have language arts and math and science and social studies. So same thing at the middle schools. We have 6 total hours. Each one of our classes are about 57 minutes long. Our first hour is about an extra 10 minutes long because we'll show announcements. The students will make them in a class called multimedia. That's the same course that made the video for us earlier. But they have a little mini studio, so you listen to the announcements to hear about upcoming, events and sports and any other things that are coming up in the next couple of weeks in the school. That leaves you 2 hours for electives. Your first elective is now chosen for you. This is a change from what we've done in the past. All the students will be scheduled for something called exploratory block, which is a pretty popular class. It's going to be a rotation of home ec, health, computers, world language, and art. So that makes your 5th class, that exploratory. And then your last hour, the 6 hours in a day, is going to be a music and a physical education course. Either choir and physical education, band and physical education, or beginning string orchestra and physical education. So choir, of course, is singing. Orchestra and band, we get a lot of confusion between the two. If we think of a violin, we have a violin, a viola, a cello, and an upright bass, which all look like bigger and bigger violins, basically. Okay, those are going to be the only thing in string orchestra. And then all the other instruments are trombones and our percussion and our trumpets and our flutes and our oboes. And, I left out an instrument there. Those are all going to be band. Okay, so band is kind of our traditional instruments. Anything that looks like a violin or a bigger violin is going to be our string orchestra. And all 3 of those say that they alternate days after them. So at the middle schools, we have a Monday, Wednesday, and a Tuesday, Thursday rotation. So if your student had, let's say, choir on Mondays and Wednesdays, it means they would have phys ed on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then the Fridays rotate back and forth. So kind of every Friday they're on and off. And a little bit more about that exploratory class. We've also changed this for next year. We used to only have 4 classes in it. We now have 5 classes. Life skills is really just another name for home ec, where they learn nutrition and cooking and sewing. Introduction to computers is some basic coding, some of the computer programs, and then Also keyboarding. So keyboarding is a pretty big chunk of that one. Art, they described that on the video. Mrs. Jones talked, they do a whole variety of different art projects. World language, we have French and Spanish at the middle school level. At the high school, they offer 5 languages. They offer French and Spanish, along with Chinese, German, and American Sign Language. The world language now in 6th grade is just an introductory course. There's no high school credit that goes along with that. And this is just going to be a 9-week course that's going to have the language, also talk about some of the culture, and they do a couple units on foods in there as well. And the new course that we're offering is health, which will be making good life decisions, everything from problem solving to our diet, to physical education, to personal health. So brand new class, we're pretty excited about this one. The students are going to get 4 out of 5 of these courses, and they will be randomly selected for them, including the world language component. If they get world language, it'll be randomly selected. They get French or Spanish. Some years we've had both courses. Like I know this year at West Middle School, we only offered French. I think East Middle School offered both. It just kind of depends on how many students sign up for at the upper levels of each of those courses, and how many French and how many Spanish teachers we have each year. A couple of example schedules for our students. I believe East Middle School has their lunch after 3rd hour as well, but at West Middle School we go 1st, 2nd, and 3rd hours. Our lunch is all 6th graders. We do have somewhat of a recess at both middle schools. About the first 20 minutes is just for eating lunch. Most of the kids get through that lunch line in about 10 minutes, and then they have the option of going outside. They can stay inside every day of the year if they want to, and they can go outside almost every day of the year. Outside, we have basketball courts, foursquare courts, and some benches for the kids. So there's not all the playground equipment that you're used to, but we do have a little bit of time if you need to kind of run around to get some of that energy out. After lunch, and they have their last 3 hours, 4th, 5th, and 6th hours. So for this example, they'd have science, exploratory, and math, and then in the afternoon, language arts, band and physical education, and social studies. And one more example schedule for this student, they'd have choir and physical education for 1st hour, math 2nd hour, social studies 3rd hour. Then they'd have lunch, 4th hour science, 5th hour language arts, and 6th hour would be exploratory block. Some common questions for our students that we get asked every year. We have lots of students that only want to take physical education. They don't want to take music class with it. Or sometimes we get it vice versa. They only want to take music and not phys ed. You have to take both of them. It's kind of like the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Once it's mixed up, you know, you're kind of a combo at that point, okay? Can't break them apart. And then exploratory block, not only is it going to be randomly chosen what 4 out of those 5 options you get. If you get world language, it will be randomly selected if you get French or Spanish. And with that, I will take questions about what the schedule looks like for next year. Let's see here. Oh, Finn.
Do you have to, so one of your things has to be exploratory block, right?
Yeah, yep, one has to be exploratory block this year.
Okay. Is there a different way to take Spanish separately?
So if you want to take Spanish, if you want to start earning your high school credit for Spanish, you can do that in 7th grade. So so Spanish is taught a little bit different in middle school than it is in high school. They can earn that high school credit anywhere between 7th grade and 12th grade. We teach it at kind of a half pace. So if you want to earn your high school credit in either French or Spanish, you're going to take it in 7th and in 8th grade. Okay.
Okay.
But let's say you were given French and you want to take Spanish as a 7th grader, that's still okay, or vice versa. Okay.
Okay.
Other questions about the schedule?
It's like
Mom,
Sears.
is that going to ask?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, I was just curious, when do you think we should be seeing the schedules?
You mean the selecting the courses, or actually getting like the schedule in their hands?
Yeah, so when would we know what she has been assigned?
Okay, so the schedule pickup will start up. Oh, I gotta remember when East Middle School does theirs. We do ours at West Middle School between 2 to 3 weeks before school begins, and I think East Middle School does it closer to 2 weeks before school begins. But you'll have a chance to come in school, get your actual schedule in your hands with all your teachers and the hours and the class numbers on them, along with your locker accommodations, and you can walk your classes up and down, practice at locker accommodations as many times as you want. And then the Tuesday before school begins, we'll have an open house where you'll be able to meet the teachers, again, walk your schedules, and also practice your locker accommodations again. We'll have some sort of activity in the spring as well, usually in April. We used to have in person, obviously, we'd have the students and the parents come in, and we'd have kind of different, a different speaker for the parents and for the children. We'll see how that works this year. It'll probably be a virtual one unless things really get better pretty quick. So there's gonna be a lot of different opportunities to see the school, get that schedule, practice those locker combinations, and meet teachers. Okay. They also hand out like a supply list in August, so you'll know what you need to bring in for every class.
Ms. Laird? You're muted, Ms. Laird.
I'm not sure if this is a middle school question or a high school question, but so from my understanding, if students were to take a foreign language in 7th and 8th grade, it can be counted toward high school.
Correct.
It sounds like something might have changed though. So if they took it 7th and 8th grade, what's the maximum amount of college foreign language credit can you receive in middle school?
So the one thing that changes, we used to have 6th graders start with either with Spanish 1A. That has been removed. Okay. So 8th graders used to be able to take Spanish 2, which means they would have 2 high school credits. Now with this 6th grade class coming in, you'll only be able to earn 1 high school credit.
Okay.
With either French or Spanish.
Okay, which makes sense because what I also heard was that the maximum a college would consider from a middle school was 1 year. So even though students thought they were earning 2 years in middle school toward college credits, the college was only actually they would only take a maximum of 1 year from middle school. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. That's one of the main reasons we changed it. Especially the bigger name universities like U of M Ann Arbor is really picky on their credits. And most do not want to take 6th grade credits at all. So plus we really wanted to get high school credit out of the 6th grade level. We thought it was a little bit developmentally, it's probably a little bit too early for kids to be earning high school credit. Like we're doing now, we're talking to 5th graders about high school credits. So we're gonna, after this year, we're hoping to only have to do that when kids are already in middle school and going forward. So, but it was kind of that combination along with the colleges don't like it. So, and I think U of M Ann Arbor, last I knew, they only accepted 8th grade credit and up. So, but most schools will they will accept 7th and 8th grade and up.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any other scheduling questions?
Mr. Powell, do you want to just talk about what we do as counselors real quick?
Yeah. So before we let you guys go, we just wanted to kind of share with you what the 4 counselors at the middle school's main focus is, which is not scheduling, but it is the social emotional well-being of our students. Okay. And so we want all of our students to know that if there is anything at all that is troubling you, whether it's academics or school, or if it's peers, if there's a bullying situation, if there is, any issues going on at home or with siblings, you can feel free to come talk to us and let us know if you're feeling anxious or depressed or, anything going on. Okay. And that's truly where I think our heart lies, is with the social emotional well-being. Okay. So our offices is a very safe place. There's a big word that you're going to learn a lot about, which is confidentiality. Okay. And basically all that means is that whatever you share with us stays with us. Okay. We don't go talking to teachers. We don't talk to other students. We don't even talk to your parents about most of the stuff you guys come to talk to us about. Okay. But other than that, I just wanted to make sure you guys all were aware that we are here for you to support you with all of your needs. Okay. Does anyone have any general middle school questions? Possibly not scheduling related. That would be a first for us if we didn't have any general middle school questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I know right now the teachers like bend over backwards for the students and they extend that additional help. If our students were struggling in a subject, like what's the first go-to? Like an email?
Yeah, typically the teachers should be the first point of contact, right? They're the ones that are with the students more than we are. They're the ones that are teaching the content and can explain the content better than what we can. If you're obviously some teachers at times can be harder to get a hold of, just let us know if you need help with that. But no, teachers would always be the first point of contact for struggles.
Okay. Do they typically stay after with students, or if it's
that varies by teacher? There are many teachers that will give up their lunch period to help students come down on their lunchtime, or before school or after school. It just kind of depends on the subject matter as well as the teacher, to be honest with you. There is no like uniform system for that.
Okay.
Both middle schools do have some intervention classes as well. We have some extra reading and math classes for students that struggle. We'll be checking with our 5th grade teachers for recommendations, and then we'll follow up with parents as well if we think your child will benefit from that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Could you explain the teams and how those are picked?
Yeah, so the teams basically help teachers to collaborate about the students, right? And so the main reason we do that is to kind of do like a holistic approach for the students. So basically in a normal year, we have about 300 students per grade. So we try to divide that up in half by, 150 kids per team. So all of your core classes will all be on the same team. Okay, so math, science, language, arts, and social studies. Now, as far as how they get picked, that's all random as we do the schedule.
Thank you.
Yep. I haven't heard any students' voices yet. I want to hear your voices if you got any questions.
I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Not a student, sorry to disappoint.
That's okay.
But I'm curious, obviously we're all from Perry Innovation Center and it's a relatively small school. So we're a little apprehensive about how large the environment's going to be at the middle school. Can you give us a little insight on how previous classes from the Perry Innovation Center have adapted?
It's actually another reason we do the teams, is to kind of shorten that up a little bit, to make it feel a little bit smaller. I think most of our Perry kids end up assimilating pretty quickly. I think just like most 6th graders, it doesn't matter what elementary school you're coming from. It's just a huge difference, right? Just going from different teachers for each class, and then the lockers, and getting to know the building. And we try to make the building simple. It's basically a giant box with 4 quadrants, right? You've got a 6th grade hallway, 7th, 8th, and an elective hallway. But yeah, I think once they roll in, and especially I think what's key is if they have some social support from peers, that makes it a lot easier. Or if you've had siblings that have been through, that's also another thing that makes it easier. But I haven't really heard of any common struggles for Perry students, to be honest with you. Mr. Morey may have a little bit more insight because he's been here a lot longer than I have. But
no, I agree with you, Mr. Powell. I think they catch on pretty quick. So it's a pretty big, and we have kids from Perry Innovation. We're going to have kids from Bobcat Virtual. We're going to have Holy Family students, and then we have 3 feeder schools. So it's a big blend of kids all coming together. So So everybody kind of feels like the new kid, even if you've been in Grand Blanc forever.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Heather, you had your hand up?
So I opened the Google form and took a look at it, and I saw that the due date was March 1st for the form. And so, yeah. So, and I know everything scheduling wise has been a little wacky this year. So could you give us a due date for that?
Yeah, for West Middle School, I put both forms in the chat if you haven't seen them yet, for East and for West. We're doing everything electronic this year since it's hard to kind of do anything on paper or pencil anymore. We're hoping to get the West Middle School forms back by next Friday, so the 12th at the latest. And East Middle School is hoping for the best too, so the sooner you get them back, the better. But yeah, the forms were originally they were going to go out a little bit earlier, and I think was that the East form that said March 1st on, or whatever one it was. So they probably just forgot to update it. So
yeah,
they're not actually presenting East Middle School to their feeder elementary schools until Friday. So you're getting the sneak peek. So you're actually ahead of all the other schools right now. So yeah, but try to get them in by next week if you can.
Okay, no problem. Just wanted to get an idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Patel?
Hi. Yeah, I have a question. So my son, he took a 6th grade advanced math class with Mr. Butcher. And once he's in the 6th grade, how does he proceed with does he has to go with the 7th grade? How do we register for the 7th grade math?
Yeah, we can definitely make that work to keep him in 7th grade math. So he's continuing along with the process. Okay. Or I'm sorry, with his development. We're not going to put him in 6th grade math. Right. But yeah, we have no problem making that work. It just, as far as from a team perspective, it will be a little bit different, but not much because it's only one class.
So will they let him know where to go to take the class and his schedule and everything?
Yeah, we'll go through that with you a couple weeks before school starts. And when the building opens up for the tour, we'll definitely show you and meet your teacher, meet the 7th grade teacher, and try to make it as easy of an adjustment for him as we can.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. It is 6 o'clock. So I know most of you are East people, so you're going to be hearing more from them soon. But if anyone has any other questions before we let you go?
One more, sir.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't think we have filled the registration form yet. So would you guide us, please?
Yeah. So the registration, I mean, you can still fill that out at any time. Is there a start date? I'm not sure if there is a start date for that or not, Mr. Morey.
You talking about the enrollment form we do every year? Or are we talking about the registering or the elective form?
No, enrollment.
The enrollment every year. The enrollment in the East Middle School from Harrison. Yeah.
I think it has to be completed sometime before we come back in August.
Yeah. So you could complete that in May and June, July. There's a big window.
Okay.
And that's basically just, instead of doing those updating emergency forms and all that stuff, it's all online now. That's basically what it is. So making sure if you had address or phone number changes, email changes, emergency contacts, that's really what you're doing for the most part on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks again.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. It was really nice to meet some of our East students. We don't really ever get to see them, obviously, but yeah, it's been nice being able to meet you guys, and we just thank you for taking some time to kind of touch base with us and get to know the school a little bit. And hopefully you guys have a nice, easy, and smooth transition into the middle school. Okay.